First, I didn't see it because I worked with I took my children to school where there were people of color, and I really didn't see that it was any um, inequality or inequity. But then when I transitioned my children to a school that was predominantly white with white teachers and most of the children in the school were white, then I kind of had my horizons was broadened. I said, then I realized like what my children were first missing when they first entered the first daycare, where I really didn't notice what they were missing. So the first daycare that I had my children go in, they were very focused on, making sure the children were behaved and making sure they did some crafts, or making sure that they were okay with food and nutrition and things like that. Well, when I went to the school with the majority of white people, then I noticed that they, did more things like had animals visit, and they had uh, they hatched chicken eggs. So I just feel like my children were there more exposed to different things than not just those baseline things. I think that because maybe that was a more expensive school, or because they had a different curriculum or had different focuses, they were able to do more things there and expose the children to different types of learning. More people went to that school, I would say, the first school, of course, because it took the CCIS, which is the subsidy here in Philadelphia. And more people are able to afford childcare because, they took that subsidy. Where the second school, they did not take the subsidy, and then therefore you had to pay for the schooling there. And so I do think because there is the finances is such a challenge in the community, you're less likely to be able to put your child in a school where if you don't have a subsidy. And many of the schools that do take subsidy does not have the curriculum that's needed for them to be exposed to an extensive education, even in the daycare and preschool area. It's tough on the parent first, because then we have to kind of not support our local daycare providers, because we know that our children are going to get a better education or a more well-rounded education, because we know that certain daycare has the 4 stars. But in my opinion, I think that there should be some system or some structure for us to get those daycares who are on level 1 or level 2 what they need to be level 4 when they're not there. So if they're not, if their curriculum is at a level 2, let's see what we can put in place to get them to a level 3. Or if they're not involved with the community, what can we do to get them more involved with the community?